Secretary Ron, MDOT administrators, city and state elected. I know I saw, where did Costello go? Oh, there you go, Councilman Costello. I could see, I told you my ears are gone, my vision still works. Delegate Learman, it's a pleasure to have you here as well. We have our acting Director of Transportation, Frank Murphy, who is here. I want to welcome you all to the City of Baltimore and thank you for being here for the state's Consolidated Transportation Program. I specifically appreciate the opportunity to have my team present the city's transportation priorities, which help us to plan accordingly in order to provide a safe, efficient, and sustainable transportation system here in Baltimore. Our partnership with the state is an important partnership. It's our goal today to enlist your support of transportation projects that we know will advance the local and regional mobility of our residents. It will help in the economic growth of our city and our region, as well as environmental quality. One of our top priorities is to develop a reliable, connected mass transit solution that supports the economic advancement of the city and the region as a whole. And we look forward to working with the MTA to enhance the Baltimore-Link program to modernize our bus service and develop a multimodal transit, more multimodal transit options. In addition to collaborating with the state leadership to fulfill your standing commitment to provide effective mass transit to the region. I am very optimistic about the way we can partner resources to move all of these projects forward. From improvements to the West Baltimore MARC station that will improve transit service, to making Penn Station a transit-oriented development that will mobilize residents and provide new access points to jobs and housing and opportunity. Service expansion along the Penn and Camden lines, along with commuter bus station expansions, provide vital transportation options for commuters that live in surrounding communities. However, fixed connections to transit hubs are still needed in communities like in Southeast Baltimore, which I imagine is why Delegate Learman is here. Due to its rapid development in order to address historically congested conditions. Therefore, our city urges MDOT to support solutions for commuters in densely populated areas like this, including the construction of a MARC station at Bayview and a commuter bus line that will serve Harbor East and Harbor Point. Sustaining the success of the Charm City Circulator is also a necessary component for a complete and integrated transit network in Baltimore City. Funding for the program will allow this service to remain fast, friendly, and most importantly, free, as we work to improve transit in and around Baltimore. So we encourage you to fully fund the Charm City Circulator per the budget, which has been voted time and time again as the city's most popular transit service. As local development stretches into new territories, we also need the state to support funding the planning, design, and construction of multimodal infrastructure improvements in Port Covington, which is quickly transforming into a site that will provide extraordinary economic growth and opportunities for both the city and the region. A new light rail spur, improved interstate access, and enhancements to surface streets are examples of the types of improvements that will ensure the success of this project. We strive to improve Baltimore's transportation infrastructure in a way that properly serves all of our communities, which also includes our aging infrastructure. We continue to need state support to restore the funding formula for the city's highway user revenues back to historic levels. As we look for additional grant opportunities to address the backlog of highway projects that exist in Baltimore, many bridges and major streets in Baltimore are reaching their useful lifespan and will soon need rehabilitation or full reconstruction. The Edmondson Avenue and Harford Road bridges, along with 3 bridges over I-295, for example, require complete replacement due to their age and their condition. These investments will not only benefit the citizens of Baltimore, but, as I mentioned, in these critical thoroughfares that need improvement, it will also improve MTA bus service for commutes for some of Maryland's most significant economic drivers and employers, including Johns Hopkins, University of Maryland, T. Rowe Price, and countless other institutions. Secretary Rahm and MDOT administrators, we look forward to our continued partnership as we work to provide a safe and sustainable transportation system for the residents of the city of Baltimore. I am hopeful and optimistic that today's discussions will put us on a better path for addressing the city's transportation priorities. Again, I thank you all for being here. I hope that you enjoy this nice Friday conversation and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much.
Mayor, thank you very much.
Mayor, thank you very much for your remarks. I made just a few notes from your requests, and I see a connected multimodal system for the city, commuter solutions for rapidly growing areas, the Charm City Circulator, the Port Covington infrastructure needs of a very possibly likely growing development in the future, the return of HUR to its historic levels, and certainly bridges like those over 295 are the major points that I had picked up from your remarks. And I think we have good news about nearly all of these that we are supportive of, and I want to thank you particularly for the cooperation that we have had from the city, that partnership that has allowed us to undertake the Baltimore Link improvements, and the cooperation of the city in putting in the transit priority signalizations, the painted routes for bus lines, and all of these are critical pieces to having a successful rollout of Baltimore Link this coming summer. So you have been great to work with on these, and we so much appreciate you and your staff's efforts to succeed. Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see you here. I'm Pete Ron, the Secretary of the Maryland Department of Transportation. And before we get started, I want to express what a tough week it has been for the MDOT family with the tragic crash that occurred earlier this week that hospitalized 10 and took the lives of 6. It is a horrendous event, and my opportunity to go down that morning and see it was just shocking in the violence of that crash. And we have many within the MDOT family and the MTA family that they themselves feel a very personal grieving from this event, and our hearts go out to all of those involved, whether it's people who were involved in the crash or whether it's those people who were affected by being friends and co-workers of the people that have been injured. You know, I know for me, what struck me the hardest was the reality that at 6:30 in the morning, the only people that are going to be on a bus are going to be those people trying to make a living, going to their jobs, doing absolutely nothing wrong, and then to be involved in such a horrendous crash. It makes us all think and treasure what we have, and we do feel greatly for those people that have been injured in this. We lost one of our own, and that was Ebony Baker, who was a mom to 7. And this is, it's very hard. So I'm going to try to make my remarks brief today, although there is so much to talk about regarding transportation and Baltimore City. So we're going to follow the same format as last year, which we had positive comments back on. And that is that I'll go through this presentation. We have our administrators here in order to answer any questions that you may have. We have staff, additional staff in the audience even former staff that we might call upon to answer questions that we might not have it back far enough. This is all about exchanging the information of your needs and wants with us as we now go through a process to finalize the CTP, Consolidated Transportation Program for Maryland. So, we are talking about the CTP for fiscal years 2017 through 22. So there's a 6-year period, and our staff has copies of the draft CTP for anyone who desires one. If you want one now, you can raise your hand and we will bring it to you if you don't have it. I see everybody. We have someone up here. So, right up here on the front row. So first I would like to introduce the MDOT team that's with me today. And from the Secretary's office, our regional planner, Tyson Brun. Tyson? From SHA, we have our Transportation Alternatives Program Manager, Christy Bernal. There's Christy there. From the MTA administration, we have Administrator Paul Comfort and the Planning and Programming Director, Kevin Quinn. I haven't seen Kevin. Okay. From MVA, we have our Administrator, Chrissy Nizer, and our Deputy Administrator, Leslie Dews. From the Maryland Aviation Administration, we have our Executive Director, Ricky Smith. I saw Ricky there. From the Maryland Port Administration, Executive Director Jim White. I can tell you Jim did an amazing job today in the memorial service for Helen Delich Bentley. And I've never been to a more fitting memorial than that was, because it fit Helen so well. There was a lot of laughter and stories about Helen, and definitely recognition for what she has done to contribute to the Port of Baltimore and the growth of Baltimore as a city. And from the Maryland Transportation Authority, we have our Executive Director, Milt Chaffee, and our Chief Administrative Officer, Percy Dangerfield. And I do want to add that for the city of Baltimore, I don't know if you actually attend the MACO meetings in the summer. And if you do, I would like to urge you to take advantage of the meetings that we have every year, in which we set up meetings with the counties. And this last year we met with 19 counties, the city of Ocean City mayor, and Congressman Rupersberger. And it's an opportunity to give us an informal way to talk about the needs and priorities in a setting that we can actually have a conversation about. So I hope we can see you there next year, and that we can have a great conversation. I see former Secretary Jim Smith just walked in. Mr. Secretary, it's great to see you. So, let me see, I want to skip some of this since I want to make it brief, and they've given me 14 pages. So I can ask for, how many of you want me to read 14 pages? That's what I thought. So, what we have to realize now is that for the fiscal 2017 to fiscal 2022, the Hogan administration is investing $14.4 billion in Maryland's transportation network. Above and beyond that, the Maryland Transportation Authority is investing $1.99 billion. And you can tell our engineers have been involved, because anybody else would say $2 billion. But so we roughly have $16.4 billion programmed for the current year plus the next 5. This is down from our previous CTP by $746 million. And the cause of that has been the sales tax on the wholesale value of gasoline. And a portion of the revenue package that was passed by the legislature in 2013 added a sales tax to gasoline. I think Secretary Smith was very much involved in the passage of this legislation. So the idea of a sales tax is that it gets to grow as the price of gasoline grows, helping to offset the impact of inflation on our system. It works great as long as the price of gas is going up, but when all of us unexpectedly got the benefit of substantially lower gas prices, the impact to MDOT and our transportation program was that we got less money coming in, and where we had projected the wholesale price of gasoline to be $3.20, and the reality is that it's somewhere between $1.60 and $1.70. That difference results in a $50-some million decline every year. You multiply that times 6, and we end up with a shortfall of $746 million. So we had to go into the CTP and take things out of it, which is never fun. It's a difficult process. No one is happy, neither us nor the people who are impacted by that loss. So this year we are adding very, very few projects, only those critical and frankly low cost that we can move along, like the match to the Tiger Grant for the improvements of 5 miles of North Avenue. So we have, in fact, added $17 million to that so that that project can move along. I knew when I saw Ed making this stealthy move up here, it meant something was going on. You know, there's been a lot of activity at MoDOT over the last year, and I can tell you that the reason for many of the successes we have is those dedicated employees that we have the benefit of their hard work. In fact, we have 10,064 employees who are in the midst of delivering 1,073 projects that are underway today. And the total value of those projects is $7.9 billion. So I look at that as being an incredible opportunity to advance Maryland's transportation system. I also view it as 1,073 opportunities to really make somebody mad. So we are doing everything we can to make these systems work, to deliver things as quickly as we can so that we can get in and get out of the way. One of the mechanisms we are using to maintain efforts at improving the department is a project called the Accelerator, which is our performance management system. It's 113 measures that are representing true outcomes of what we do, and it's followed up with a quarterly meeting in which we bring together about 160 people to discuss how we're doing in these areas across the entire department. So let me walk through some of the updates at MDOT's 6 business units, which you see now. The administrators of all of them are here. Not many times throughout the CTP process do we actually get to have all the actual administrators be the ones that are here. I think that's indicative of the importance we place on our relationship with Baltimore City. So for your local projects at SHA and TSO, we are providing $880.9 million in highway user revenues for Baltimore City. That is an amount that is far exceeds the amount in total that's distributed to the rest of the state. However, I can tell you that the governor is committed to the restoration of HUR to local governments. And so that is something that we continue to work on, and I would love to see that number grow for the city of Baltimore. I also announced last week $5.2 billion, and that was this week, wasn't it? Not last week. The days go together. Announced $5.2 million in grants for transportation alternatives and improvements to bike and pedestrian safety and connectivity across the state, including key projects right here in Baltimore City for design and construction of bike boulevards along Covington Street and Melrose Avenue, the design of Arlington Avenue Greenway, design of a shared use trail for bikes and pedestrians, funding directional signs along the Jones Falls Trail, and funding bridge improvements, track restoration, and a new crossing gate for the B&O Railroad Museum. Another key part of this grant, funding will retrofit 30 bi-level MARC cars to accommodate standard-sized bikes on weekday service on all 3 lines, the Penn, the Camden, and the Brunswick. While we have bike cars on the Penn line on the weekends, the only bikes allowed on weekday are folding bikes. And we have heard from our bicycling customers that as a community, they would like bike access on weekdays on all of our MARC lines, and we have listened. While we are still working out timing and details of how many MARC cars will be equipped for bikes, this is exciting news. This is something where we're adding new service to new customers. So the project dovetails right into our Baltimore Link project. Excuse me. You know, it's hard to believe it's been 1 year since Governor Hogan launched Baltimore Link's multi-phase plan to create an interconnected transit system. And that's something I heard that was desired by the mayor. And we are doing this through redesigning the entire local and express bus systems throughout Baltimore. And we are adding 12 new high-frequency, color-coded bus routes that improve connections to jobs and to MARC train, Metro subway, and light rail. It truly is a renovation and transformation of our existing system. And you might think something like that is easy. I can tell you this is very difficult. One of the most difficult conversations I've been involved in is how you come up with 12 different colors. And the difficulty of deciding, do you have green and lime, and can those be distinguished, or do we need some other colors? But I can tell you the idea of high-frequency corridors that anyone, even new visitors to the city of Baltimore, will understand and be able to access and use our bus system is something that very few bus systems have achieved across the United States. And we're going to be frankly, one of the only that will be so friendly that someone from outside of town can just simply come in. So Baltimore Link transforms Baltimore's half-a-century-old and outdated transit network with implementation of bus-only dedicated lanes, installation of transit signal prioritization, which you heard me recognize the mayor and the city for cooperations in, construction of a transfer hub network, rebranding and replacement of more than 6,000 transit signs, expanded commuter bus service, new shared bicycle availability, and access to car sharing options that will be available at transit hubs. So we really are talking about last mile solutions. We're talking about how can someone without a car get around easily and reliably on Baltimore's transit system. And we truly do mean a transit system, not just bus lines. In the past year, MTA has been busy making good on Governor Hogan's promise to transform Baltimore's broken transit by reaching key milestones with significant improvements to the region's transit system. New express bus link launched its suburb to suburb service, in June of 2016 as promised. This allows people to go from suburb to suburb without having to come into the city to downtown and then out on another line. As promised, we've expanded and added new commuter bus service, and these launches have occurred in the summer and now in the fall of 2016, with more coming next spring. In addition to MTA's more than $800 million annual operating budget, Baltimore Link harnesses the value of $795 million in key capital investments to upgrade the system, with real-time location and arrival information, 172 new buses, new metro subway vehicles and signaling systems, and midlife overhaul of the entire light rail fleet and MARC bi-level rail cars. Recently launched MTA Express Bus Link. Routes 102, 106, and 107 have greatly improved suburb-to-suburb connectivity in the region, which also helps relieve bus congestion in Baltimore City. The MTA has also enhanced Quick Bus 40 service between the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid in Baltimore County and City Hall in Baltimore City as a part of the Baltimore Link plan. In addition to increasing frequency and reliability on the QB40 line, other amenities include the installation of new shelters, new colored destination signs on buses, and a dedicated staff to keep the buses clean and well maintained. MTA commuter bus routes 310 and 320 from Columbia to Baltimore also were enhanced with a new reverse commute bus route of 425 between Baltimore to Aberdeen Proving Ground. Harford County's largest employer began service. And it began service when?
A month ago.
So a month ago. A more robust service is also where residents have witnessed other noticeable transit improvements. The first painted dedicated bus lanes were installed on Pratt and Lombard streets to allow buses swifter passage through congested traffic in downtown Baltimore. And I know we have been coordinating with the police departments to see enhanced enforcement of those bus-only lanes. And we believe that people will be getting the message that a Chevy Cruze is not a bus. So we will see where that goes. With the help of a federal Tiger grant, MTA will complete a $27 million revitalization along a key 5-mile corridor or North Avenue that will include dedicated bus lanes, transit signal priority, bike facilities, enhancement to light rail and metro subway stations, improvements at major bus stops and sidewalks, streetscaping, and roadway repaving. I think it's exciting when you see the renderings of what North Avenue can look like with this investment. I'm confident that it's going to change neighborhoods as a result and will draw businesses into that area. So this project will help jumpstart economic growth for this key section of Baltimore City, connecting people to major economic and entertainment centers, and getting people where they want and need to go faster and more efficiently. A key aspect to the past year of Baltimore Link has been the public dialogue designed to receive community feedback about the plan. In gatherings with community groups, elected officials, public workshops, pop-up events, and meetings with MTA bus operators, the MTA received more than 2,000 comments and suggestions about the Baltimore Link plan at over 200 meetings. The high-frequency color-coded CityLink routes and local link routes will be launching next summer, 2017, with better connections to the light rail, to Metro Subway, to MARC. And I think I've only said that like 3 times through these remarks. I just want you to know we're talking about making it all work together. So MTA will be bringing the routes out for public comment later this year, and we look forward to continuing the dialogue and getting your comments. Baltimore Link is very exciting to roll out and see that we can make transit work for the entire Baltimore region with so many options and connections to life's opportunities. In addition to Baltimore Link, MDOT is supporting your local transit with $3 million in operating funds to support the Charm City Circulator. At MVA, I'm very proud that we've recently provided to our customers the most secure driver's license in the nation, along with a beautifully redesigned new license plate. How many of you have gotten the new driver's license yet? Have you got it? I mean, it is amazing. There are 28 security features built into that driver's license. That's why we can say we know it is the most secure driver's license in the country. And so I can also tell you that we have launched the new license plates, which are gorgeous, I believe, and they've become very popular. And we are seeing a number of people that are willing to pay the $20 for new plates, even though they don't need new plates yet, just so that they can have these on their car. You know, when we talk license plates, as Secretary Smith can attest to, is that when you're the Secretary of Transportation, you're permitted to have a license plate on your own personal vehicle that says Maryland Secretary of Transportation. Now, I can only tell you, I'm not dumb enough to put that on my car. But you are entitled to it. So what I can tell you is that what's also gone over really well has been the adding of the designation and recognition of veterans on the face of the driver's license. And that has been very much appreciated by our veterans. And from June 20th to October 29th, 11,867 veterans have chosen to get the new Maryland Secure Driver's License, or ID, with the veteran designation on the front. MVA Administrator Chrissy Nizer also serves as Governor Hogan's highway safety representative, and her office has been aggressively working with federal, state, and local partners to develop solutions that will save lives on Maryland's roadways. The 521 roadway fatalities we experienced in 2015 is unacceptable to everyone. And it is up to all of us at state and local levels to target the most common causes of roadway fatalities in Maryland: impaired driving, speeding, not wearing seatbelts, distracted driving, and not using crosswalks. Our strategic highway safety plan targets these areas by incorporating input from the very best minds from the 4 E's of highway safety: engineering, enforcement, education, and emergency services. Highway safety plans are key to the safety of your family and your friends. And it's surprising to me that only 2 counties in Maryland have developed and adopted their own plans. We encourage you to develop your own plan and adopt Maryland's Strategic Highway Safety Plan along with yours. We'd be happy to assist you and work with you to accomplish this. Our efforts to reduce fatalities and save lives received a big boost when Governor Hogan recently announced more than $12.5 million in highway safety grants, including $70,000 to the Baltimore City Police Department. At MDTA, let me update you on the Maryland Transportation Authority. In early 2017, work will begin on I-95 north of the Fort McHenry Tunnel to reconfigure the roadway to provide 4 continuous lanes in each direction. This permanent change will accommodate additional traffic on I-95, while the Canton Viaduct on I-895 is being replaced. The Canton Viaduct Rehabilitation Project will begin in early 2019, and the entire bridge north of the Baltimore Harbor Tunnel on I-895 will be replaced. In addition to this project in the Baltimore region, I'm sure you have heard that we are also undertaking a 48-month Tier 1 National Environmental Act study for an additional bay crossing to the eastern shore. The two main goals of this study are to identify where the crossing will be located and how it will be financed. Now with the Port of Baltimore. Let me start with my update on Helen Dillage Bentley Port by saying the entire city of Baltimore and the state are celebrating Helen today. I joined the governor and many others this morning at one celebration, and the other public celebration is taking place this afternoon as we speak. And it is impossible to overestimate the impact that Helen Bentley has had on this port and on the city of Baltimore. And as a unique character, everyone has a story about their interactions with Helen, but no one questions her sincerity about what she was doing. During the first half, as this port continues to do amazing things, in the first 6 months of 2016, handling 5 million tons of cargo from autos and heavy machinery to containers, it remains one of the busiest ports within the United States. During the first half of 16, the port saw a 12% increase in containers, the largest growth in containers among all mid-Atlantic ports from New York to Norfolk. That's a huge number. The Port of Baltimore remains the #1 port in the U.S. for autos and roll-on, roll-off machinery. Earlier this year, the port also signed new extensions with its 2 cruise lines, Royal Caribbean for 4 more years and Carnival for 2 more years. These extensions guaranteed continued year-round cruises from Baltimore to the Caribbean and the Bahamas. This summer, the port welcomed its first big container ship from Evergreen that came through the newly expanded Panama Canal, and I would add that it came through where it would not have been able to before the updating of the panel. And with our 50-foot deep berth and supersized cranes, the Port of Baltimore is one of only 4 East Coast ports able to accommodate the biggest ships in the world. Here in Baltimore City, many businesses count on the Port of Baltimore to conduct business in Maryland, including National Gibson. It says Usalco. Did I say that right? Usalco? Bidamar, C. Steinweg, and Baltern. And I'm on my last page. At BWI Marshall Airport, passenger traffic continues to grow steadily with new airlines and services to new domestic and international markets. 2015 was a new all-time annual record for passenger traffic with nearly 24 million passengers. Strong growth has continued into 2016 with 14 straight monthly passenger records through August. The D&E Connector is a major capital project that is being delivered on a fast track to meet the growing demands for international service. The additional gates for international service, a new security checkpoint, added food and retail concessions, and other amenities will be complete late this year. So before I close, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today. There will be a number of issues in the legislative session that I'm sure will be hot topics regarding transportation, and we are committed to working with the City of Baltimore and legislators to try to improve transportation services to the citizens of Baltimore and all of Maryland. So with that, again, thank you very much, and we are open. Will you have a presentation? No presentation? Okay, since I see 3 people on the front, their eyes all got big. So, so we are open for questions from anyone. And if we can't answer it here, if we don't know the answer, we will get back to you very quickly. Delegate. I'm.
For the commuter bus lines?
Yes.
The new routes that are being put in and the new suburb connection. I'm curious what your criteria is for how you select where you'll put in new commuter bus routes and what follow-up you do to see if they're actually being used. You know, anecdotally, I hear the suburb route is not being used, so I wonder how long you give it to see if it's actually being used well, and if it's not, you know, there are many other places we would love to have that commuter bus going into the city. So I'm just curious on the process of how you decide where the commuter buses will go and what your evaluation after the fact is like.
Thanks, Delegate. So yes, we did just start a new commuter bus route. Commuter bus routes are different than express routes. Commuter routes are contracted out. The MTA operates a number of commuter routes that are contracted to 7 commuter bus companies. I actually just met with all the owners yesterday. And so the new commuter route between downtown Baltimore, it's a reverse commute route out to Baltimore County and out to APG. We normally would give it 6 months, Delegate, to evaluate the ridership. And you're right, we want to encourage people to try that route. It's an awesome way to get from Baltimore City to jobs, some of the greatest jobs in our region at Aberdeen Proving Grounds. We encourage you to go to our website, mta.maryland.gov, and get the details on this route. For $5, you can get a great ride out there in a reasonable amount of time. And again, it's a commuter bus route. It's on a motor coach with a bathroom. A lot of the buses have Wi-Fi, etc. It's a great way to get to jobs there. But that's different than our express routes, which are part of our Baltimore City core service. And those are the routes that are going around the top of the city, down the sides, and across the bottom. And they actually are doing quite well. We do evaluate them as well on a monthly basis, their ridership. And those are looking really good. The 425, the commuter bus route is still a little light, but it's only been going for about a month. Ryan Narwaki here on our staff is in charge of marketing, and we're doing all kinds of marketing on the base, meeting with putting it in the base newspaper and all the folks that work with the people that work at the base to make sure they're aware of the service and that they could use it. We did, as you know, also extend one of our commuter bus routes, one of our express bus routes this year, as the Secretary mentioned, from Columbia out to Harbor East. And the information we got to do that was that we asked the employers in Harbor East, could you poll your employees and find out would they be willing to take transportation, public transportation, and if so, where do they live? And the number one place that folks who said they would be willing to ride public transportation to work was from Columbia. And so that's how we made the choice. We actually talked directly to the employers, asked them to poll their employees. We took that information and changed one of our routes to have it go straight out.
So I'm familiar with that study. That's not actually what happened, but I'd be happy to talk to you about it offline. That's also an express bus. It's not a commuter bus.
That's right.
Yeah. So is there a way that you determine where you'll be putting commuter buses next?
Yes. Well, the next one is actually going to be between Annapolis and Baltimore, and it'll be a commute and a reverse commute route as well, coming back and forth between there. That's a route that used to be in place, and as we get requests from the public on services that they would like, we keep track of them, and our commuter bus division, which is operated under a separate division from the core service, they track that and they look at transit propensity and where the jobs are and where community populations are, and they make projections. And so that's how we ended up with the route to Aberdeen, looking for a place that had the right type of jobs for people who would begin in the workforce as well as those who already are in the workforce. And also, obviously, there's a great amount of traffic between Baltimore and Annapolis for people who live in Baltimore, want to go down there to work, or vice versa. I know that you're interested in a specific area for a commuter bus route, and as I've told you, it's next on my list personally of what we want to do. And as the funding's available and as the information becomes available that would justify that route, I'm looking forward to the opportunity to talk to you further about that.
Can I ask you one more question?
Sure, yeah.
The mark Bayview is not in the CTP anymore, and I was wondering why.
That's right. The mark to Bayview was really part of the red line, and since we're not doing the red line, that's why I think that is not in the CTP.
Okay. The mark would actually provide an east-west, a way to get east-west without the red line.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Anyone else? Wow. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming out.